Minister R.W. Davis with you here today at New Life Ministries. I'm going to share a word with you called Removing the Limits.
Hey.
We'll be in Psalms chapter 78, verses 41 through 42. But before I begin, I want you to totally understand before I start with this message is that yes, I want you to be cautious. I want you to take precautions. Yes, I want you to wear your mask when you're outside in the midst of crowds. And I want you to be very careful when dealing with this. When I'm talking about removing the limits, but I'm not talking about putting yourself in danger. So I want you to be cautious. We want you to totally understand that today. We're not talking about being uncautious, and we're not talking about putting yourself in any type of danger, but we're talking about removing the limits off of God. Yeah. Psalms chapter 78, starting at verse 21. Starting at verse 41 through 42. Yea, they turn back and tempt God, and limit the Holy One of Israel. Mm-hmm. They remembered not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy.
All right.
And the question is posed, how do you tempt God?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
You tempt God when you continue to do what he tells you not to do. Mm-hmm. You tempt him to destroy you or to judge you because you keep doing what he tells you not to do.
Go ahead.
You know, back in the day when mama would kind of light into you for either running your mouth too much or playing too much when she told you to stop. And she would say things like, do it one more time. Try me.
Come on.
Children would have to learn the tone of mama.
Yeah.
You'd have to learn when she was at a 2 or when she was at an 8.
Hey,
but you'd have to learn the levels.
All right.
You see, when I was growing up, the old women would tell you, they'd tell you, I'm tired now. That's when you know they was at a 2.
That's right.
You better get somewhere and sit down because they're going to go up beside your head. And so you have to know the levels. So how many times? This is what the children of Israel did time and time again, Minister Michael Bell, by tempting God. They kept pushing the limit to see how much of his mercy they could take advantage of. Do it sounds like anybody today?
All right.
How many times can we do what he tells us not to do and get away with it?
Go ahead.
Tempting God also is asking God to do what he's already done.
Go ahead on.
And called finished. That's tempting God. He's already saved us. He's already healed us.
Go ahead.
But still we ask him to do it time and time again. Let me tell you, Jesus is not getting back up on the cross. But he does require you to pick up yours and carry it. But you're tempting God when you keep telling him, keep asking him to keep doing the same thing over and over again. It is also tempting God to ask him to do something inconsistent with his nature and with his word.
Go ahead.
You see, I remember years ago, and people probably still do it right now. Lord, please let me hit the lottery. I stopped out to tell you he's not in the lottery. He's not in it, so you can quit asking him to let you hit the lottery. Because he's not going to have anything to do with you hitting the lottery. If you so happen to hit it, you hit it. But God ain't got nothing to do with that.
Right.
You see, he is light. He does not walk in darkness.
Amen.
And so he can't fool with that.
Go ahead.
I think about how people are limited through their, their tempting of God.
Go ahead.
The Bible says they limit the Holy One of Israel. You may say, how can we possibly limit God? We have the ability to limit God, through our actions. You can have such a smallness in mind. You can limit God on what he can do. Now you say to yourself, Brother Ward, how can I limit God for what he can do?
Come on.
We have to start thinking, how do we unlimit God in our lives? That we start to grow, because it is the will of God that we grow.
Yes.
Growth is a sign of life. I don't care how old you get, your fingernails will keep growing.
That's right.
You heard what little we have, Minister Michael Bell. It keeps growing.
Keep growing. I keep cutting it.
May not have a full head of hair, but it keeps sprouting out somewhere.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So what I want you to understand is that when there is no more growth, there's no more life.
Mm-hmm.
When things stop growing on your body, you about at the end.
That's right.
Everything God creates is growing.
All right.
I want you to realize that he put Adam and Eve in a garden where everywhere they looked, it was growing.
Mm-hmm.
It was the atmosphere they was in. I don't know about you, but I love being in an atmosphere where everything is growing.
Yes.
Because it helps you to progress, to grow. The Bible tells us to abide in the vine. Here's the problem we have. The devil has us so focused on the fruit, on the gifts and the talents, we forget about the vine.
Yeah.
Jesus said, you're the branches. I am the vine.
That's right.
The fruit grows out of the branches through the vine. If you knock the branch off the vine, it will die. We're falling in love with the fruit, but we have to stay attached to the vine.
Okay.
Our connection is always in the vine. Our connection is always in Jesus Christ. So if we stay connected in the vine, we will bear fruit. But the fruit belongs to the vine. You have to understand that. The fruit don't get the big head and think it belongs to you. It belongs to Christ.
Amen.
So when you're flourishing and the fruit is coming out, remember it belongs to the vine. The word limit comes from two root words, meaning grieving God by scratching out the imprint. Do you not know that all of us have an imprint that God has put in us?
Yeah.
Because the imprint is for growth and multiplication.
Yeah.
God wants you to become more than what you are.
Yeah.
Don't grieve him by scratching out your imprint.
All right.
That's right.
There's a divine imprint God puts in all of us.
Amen.
Limiting God
Bless me, Lord.
actually means drawing a line or making a circle
Yeah.
and saying God goes no further than here.
All right.
Right.
So you're just making a circle around him and telling him, Lord, you can't do no more than what you're doing for me right now. That's scratching out the imprint.
That's sad.
So this is what happens in denominations when we have the Holy Spirit, but no one else has him. So we want to speak. Well, we got him, but nobody else got him.
All right.
But I'll stop by to tell you, God's not in a box.
Go ahead.
He's too big to be in a box.
Go ahead.
You can't lock him into one denomination. The Catholics ain't got it all. The Pentecostals don't have it all. The Baptists don't have it all. You can't lock him into one denomination. It does not work that way.
That's man.
He's not in a box.
Right.
God would step over the line of tradition and show out if you remove the limits.
That's right.
He will start moving by his spirit in a wonderful way. You see, you can't think you just got God all to yourself.
All right.
He's too big for that. He's all over the place. He's everywhere at the same time. Here's my question to you. What limits have you imposed on yourself?
All right.
Think about that. What limits have you imposed on
That's
yourself?
the question.
What limits have you imposed on others? I can't do that because I'm too old.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that. You'll be surprised what you can do.
Yeah.
If you're allowed to. Who told you was too old to do what needs to be done? I don't know about you, but there's a lot of restrictions imposed on people who are getting older. There are age restrictions. There are income restrictions.
Yeah.
If you make too much money, you got to pay some back to the Social Security people.
Yeah.
Can't make too much money.
Go ahead.
Right.
There are speed limits imposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of you may have broke some getting here today.
Yeah.
So you see there are restrictions all over the place.
All right.
Yeah.
And so we do the same thing to God. So here tonight, there are many driving who refuse to be limited.
All right.
I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm cruising down the highway and I'm just cruising along, and I'll be like, man, I got to get on down the road. And so I started to go over that speed limit. I refuse to be restricted. I want you to know that all limits are not bad, though.
No.
We do need some protection.
Yes.
You say everything. You can't say everything you feel.
No.
You can't say everything you think. Because you hurt too many people when you do that.
Yeah.
And so you have to have a restriction
Yeah.
on what comes out of your mouth.
Yeah.
You can't look at everything on the internet. You can't look and listen to everything at the theater. You have to keep your spirit unpolluted. You have to put limits on what you see and what you listen to. Because if not, it swings you over to the other side.
Yeah.
You're not going to make me spend my mortgage money. You're not going to make me spend my rent. You got to tell the devil that. Because he will make you do that.
Yeah.
You have to put limits on what you will hear. You have to put limits on what you can do. You can't work 24 hours a day.
All right.
Can't do it. You have to have rest. So you have to put limits on certain things you can do. Some people are totally out of control with social media. Yes, they are. They have to check every ding, every update that happens.
Yeah.
And so we walk around and we hear ding, 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 ding all day long.
All right.
Because they got to check every update.
Yeah.
Because social media has them tied up. It has them restricted. Where there is no vision, people cast off restraints. There is no limits, and they become very dangerous. So you have to have protective limits.
All right.
You have to set limits on how you feel.
Yeah.
You have to set limits on what you feel.
Yeah.
Because you have to move on. In the Old Testament, when a king or a prophet died, they would mourn for 30 days.
All right.
And that was it. And then you dry your tears up and you move on.
Move on.
Because that was the limit.
Yeah.
Now listen, to define means to mark out boundary of the limits thereof. Whenever you define something, you limit it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing when you want to become powerful in certain areas of your life. When a bodybuilder wants to be stronger, if you ever notice a bodybuilder, he works legs one day, he works arms one day, he works his chest another day.
Yeah.
He's restricting those areas so he can get strong in those different areas. So you see, it's not totally a bad thing. I want you to listen real close. To be careful of who and what you allow to define you, though.
All right.
Be careful of labels, because what? Labels can limit you.
Yeah.
Stop seeing yourself through the eyes of those who do not value you. Only let people speak into your life that value you. The first job of a teacher is to value the students. If you don't value the people, you can't add value to them.
Right.
An excuse gives you permission to remain where you are. Maintaining is not growing. To remain in the place that you are is considered a curse. I was overseas and I heard a man talking to another man, and he was talking to him real harshly. And I didn't know what they were saying because I couldn't understand their language. But after it was over, I asked someone, and they said he told the man that he insisted that he stayed where he was. He was cursing him, is what he was doing. He said, I don't want you to go any further than what you are right now. If you're stuck in the place you are, that's a curse. The children of Israel thought they were in the promised land because they were delivered from slavery, Minister Michael Bell, but they was just walking around in circles. But they thought they was delivered. Stuck in the same place 40 years emotionally, physically, financially. You got to remove some limits.
Amen.
You can't stay in the same place
True.
that you were. 2001 Minister Roy Davis can't be 2020 Minister Davis.
True. Yeah.
And so forth. All of us have had to evolve. All of us have had to move on and do different things. Because you know why? If you didn't, you wouldn't have no more than what you had 20 years ago. But we all have progressed past that point. And so to progress with God, you got to remove the limits. And again, I'm not telling you to be unsafe. I'm not telling you to not take precautions. I want you to be safe. I want you to do everything you need to do to protect you and yourself and your family. But you got to remove the limits so that God will be able to help you. God bless you. Minister R.W. Davis signing off.
Amen.
I was once lost.